Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Re-Overview, which is still technically, I guess, a working title, but it's our title for now. I'm Mark, with my co-founder, host, friend, everything, Tim. Both of us work at PSU.
Wait,
So
who?
you're Tim.
Oh, who? You?
Who?
You,
Who? Who? You? Me? Me? You? Who?
you.
You? Who?
Oh, that's a song.
Yeah, it is. So we're gonna
Copyright
continue.
infringement.
We're gonna get slammed with copyrights, but that's okay because I have no money.
Come
Uh,
on, slam.
and exactly. So now there's two of us getting sued with copyrights.
Yes.
But welcome back. We are going to continue our Final Fantasy VII playthrough. However, we're going to do it slightly differently than probably any other channel that's going on right now. We're not going to give you a picking up where we left off, let's see the story. No. You have to play this game. This game is too good to not be played. However, what we are going to do is jump in at a later point in the game, about an hour or so deeper in. Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett are all now party members that I can run around with. And we're going to go from there. And that's what we're going to do. And you're going to deal with it. And hopefully you like it. The end.
Loady, loady, load.
So let's continue from chapter 5.
I like staring at the sword in the ground.
Yeah, it's a good place to have words. It's a nice shot. So last we saw these characters, we talked through almost all the cutscenes, and that's how we like doing it.
Yep.
I have 2 playthroughs of this game, so I know what's happening. I know what's going on, and it allows me to play the game at my own pace, and also because we talk through story beats, to actually have conversations and hear what's going on, without hindering my experience. But it also allows me to know what's coming up and prepare questions and prepare thoughts and everything like that. And one of the things I wanted to talk about, we did gloss over. It is not a segment that we saw. And it is a character name. Is it Roche? Roche? Is that their name?
Yep.
And I want to hear Tim's thoughts on this character. So Tim and I come from very different backgrounds in at least in like the anime Japanese humor slash quirkiness side of things. And I just realized that I talk with my hands still while I'm doing this. And I look at the camera like I'm streaming. But you guys can't see me. But I want to hear Tim's thoughts on this character, because this character is a brand new character. This character isn't in Crisis Core. It's not an original Final Fantasy VII. And I have some story questions about this character, but I want to hear Tim's thoughts on the character itself, because I've heard the community seems to be a little split on liking or hating this character.
I can see it. I honestly don't really... I don't know, I'm not affected by him because he doesn't really affect a whole lot of the game. So he's more or less just another sad character. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's definitely weeb bait though. He is definitely anime. You can definitely see that Tetsuya was let to do whatever he wanted with that one.
Yeah. So.
But it's definitely Advent Children in that regard too. That movie has a lot of weird anime stuff in it too. So I wouldn't say it's not par for the course, because it's not really for the rest of the game. But I think it works just because he's an anomaly, in the sense that he's not like everyone else. Not everyone else does all that weird stuff and things like that. I think it works well enough for as long as he's there, because he's not there for very long. And I think it's okay. It's not something that detracts from what's going on.
Yeah. So I'm of 2 minds with it. Mind 1, I agree. because
too?
from
I
what
disagree.
yeah, well, yeah, essentially, because I'm not far enough in the game to know if he's. I'm assuming he comes back up. He leaves that sequence on a cliffhanger and a like "don't go dying on me." Our dance isn't over yet, kind of a thing. Very
Yep.
Batman to Joker esque to Cloud.
Mhm.
Um, Now my issue with him is that for me, it feels out of place in the tension. However, I feel like that is why it's there. This game is, for the most part, very serious. There's very little comedic relief. There's lines here and there. You might find a character quirky or funny, like Wedge or something like that. But for the most part, there's no over the topness outside of just the world being over the top. There's no anime over the topness.
Yep, correct.
So I feel like he served that
But wait.
purpose.
Before you go too far into that idea, though, you need to finish the game.
Okay. But my
saying.
main issue is actually story-wise with him. I don't understand. Okay, am I still? No, I'm still battling in here. I don't understand. He's soldier second class. If I go off of his sword, which, for those of you who may not know, I feel like this game doesn't really go and dive down deep into it, but I feel like a lot of people who played this game probably have played Crisis Core. There are multiple levels and ranks to soldier. A lot of them are infantrymen, and then they like go up to obviously like grenade and stuff like that. But whenever you get to the high ranks, you don't take your helmet off. You look very infantryman. I like this part too a lot. I like that he's now realizing that Avalanche isn't the terrorist that his company is telling them that they are. Like and I enjoy
Yes.
that. But
Big time. That's one of my favorite scenes in this whole game. Just right here.
it's
That
so
interaction between her and the Shinra suit.
Yep. Like, wait a minute, I'm the enemy, why are you helping me? You don't realize we're trying to help everyone. Like, we don't hate you because you're Shinra, we hate Shinra because it's Shinra, and we're just trying to save the planet.
I think that's so cool, because then
Like, you see
I was worried to spoil some stuff. But I think what's really cool is that you get
I feel like
that
you can.
taste of the people in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only getting one representation, but you also get the idea that not everybody in Midgar is against Shinra.
Yeah. But you also get that other places too. Like there's a side quest that I didn't show if you get to the point, I didn't realize this. If you get to the point in the beginning of the game where it's like, if you continue, you can't do side quests. Say no, I don't want to continue, and finish the side quests. They're all great.
Yep.
I did that on my other account, the account that you're seeing now. I did not do that with. There is a woman who is yelling at two infantrymen because she's trying to get through this gate, and like they're not letting her through, and she's very mad about it. You, as a side quest, go through, do her mission for her, or do her bidding for her, I guess. And then when you come out, she complains about the Shinra guards. And even though you are ex-soldier, you don't hate the Shinra guards. You basically go, well, they're just doing their job. And she gets very mad at you for defending them. But it's true that, like, if... Like, there's so many companies in the real world that are not, like, they do nice things for the faceness of being nice or, like, doing the right thing. But if there was no downside to doing the wrong thing, then the company would do whatever gives them, what makes the most money for them. And that's what Shinra's doing.
Yep.
They're doing whatever makes the most money. And these guys are just working for them. They're not aligned with them. They want Shinra to succeed because Shinra gives them a paycheck. They don't necessarily agree with Shinra's ideals, and you get to see that. There's more. It's not like, oh, I'm Shinra, I'm going to die for Shinra. It's like, no, I'm working for Shinra. Shinra pays my bills, and I just happen to be in the military for Shinra.
Equally so, you get to see all levels of that. You see the blindly devoted. You see the people that are on the fence. You see, the people that are just making it making it day by day. You get to see a little bit of all of it. And I think that's great
It adds.
because it's not so much just a like a detached sort of dystopia. It's very approachable that way, and it's very comparable and parallel to how things are now in terms of industry. And I think it's super cool to do stuff like that because not only does it make great, fantastic characterization, but it also gives the player something to relate to.
Yeah,
And
like,
that's all part of the appeal. It's all great.
even what we just saw there with the two infantrymen talking to essentially the highest ranking Shinra soldier, um, like the general or whatever.
Oh, dude, Heidegger is such a bitch.
Yeah, but like even that though, like that interaction there, he's very like, yes sir, let's do this. And then later on, and we may get to it in this, we may not. Later on, there's a cutscene where he basically, like, the officer is taken aback by what he says, because it's not what that officer stands for, but that officer is like, well, you're above me, I can't question you. And also, like, you still have the power over me to fire me and to, like, me lose my job. And, like, you get that sense of each character in this game, big and small, have a personality and have feelings and have thoughts and have, like, morals one way or the other. Whether they act on them, most people don't act on their moral compass, so they, like, there's no rise up against Shinra. There's no, like, we don't agree with them, let's change it for the better, like the better part of the world or anything. It's no, I'm afraid that if I do this or act up, I no longer have a paycheck. I no longer have a way of life.
And that depth of characterization is so subtle, and I just love it.
Yeah, even in the very beginning, I commented on it whenever I think we were. That might have actually, that was our original video that was lost. There is an infantryman that recognizes Cloud, and like still ends up shooting Cloud and like attacking Cloud because that's his job, and Cloud attacks as well. So like he has to defend himself, but like it's not just a person in a hood like these guys right here. Like obviously these guys are just fodder, but whenever you see them in cutscenes, they're not. So it makes it feel like that those characters that I just attacked are people.
Yeah, that gives you that ideal projection, and it becomes interesting in that sense. Like this game is not just like a level up, do things game. It's a game of substance, and I dig the shit out of it.
Yeah, like
ever loving shit out of it.
It makes me like, we see Tifa in Crisis Core. We know Cloud's story from Crisis Core, and we'll get back to the original question that I wanted to ask earlier about the rankings and stuff. But like Barrett, now I want to know like what those dog tags are. Who is Barrett? How did he get to be the one of the leaders of what is considered a rogue group of Avalanche? Like I know his personal story. I know Marlene. I know him. I know his personality. But like, where was that turning point? When did he go, we need to save the planet? Like, what did that? And I'm sure we might get that. I'm not there yet. He alludes to it. But even like Jessie, we know now. We skipped it, but we know now her motivation. I'm sure Wedge and Biggs also have similar story arcs that give their motivation. Like this game, it's no longer just, oh, this is Yuffie the ninja. It's like, no, this is Yuffie. This is what's going on. She, you see her in Crisis Core. I'm sure they're gonna dive deeper into her backstory and what she's been up to and what's going on. But she is Wutai. Wutai was in a war with Shinra.
You have nothing to worry
Yes.
So like, here's the scene that I was talking about, where you can see the infantrymen get taken aback by what is told to him.
Yes, of course. I will not fail you, sir.
This is one of the first times that we stopped and let the cutscene happen.
Sir, analytics reports that the results fall within the admissible range. However, the casualty rate significantly exceeds previous projections.
Remind me what your job is. Is it to question the wisdom of your superiors and bemoan your personal hardships?
Sir?
Huh. Casualty rate. You think I care about the casualty rate? They're pawns in a greater game. If your stock runs low, then go round up more.
Like, you can
for
see his
Sector
face.
3
He does
or
not
wherever
understand
else.
what those, like, that reaction.
Use your head and bring me solutions instead of problems for a change, yes?
Sir.
Like, he's very hesitant now. He's very, like,
It is so hard
it's
to
subtle,
find good
but
help
it's
these
enough
days.
to give me, like,
Which is why the president ought to count his blessings.
I now question every person I cut down now
What
as
would
Cloud.
he do without me?
And like you can tell, even like
Ugh.
just the slow turn in the chair, like that guy next to him is like, I don't like this. This isn't what I signed up for, but this is my job,
Yep.
and I don't know how to not do it. Like, but going
Yeah.
back to off of that serious note, I guess, and more of a question that I have that we may be able to answer, Tim may be able to answer. It's just a question that I have. I was under the impression that Zach was the last remaining soldier, and then that they were going to kill the soldier program and then just have infantrymen after that, because it's like I don't know how many of our viewers have played Crisis Core or how many of them are familiar with the story of Final Fantasy VII. Sephiroth is a fallen soldier member, first class member. So is Angel, who's not in any of the Final Fantasy games outside of Crisis Core, and also Genesis, who may or may not be the main protagonist, I guess, of Advent Children. Still very unclear. This game may eventually shed some light on that. But I thought, so Zack becomes Soldier First Class because the other Soldier First Class members have fallen, and Cloud is ex-soldier. He was in the soldier program. He is Soldier First Class, and now he's no longer part of Soldier. I thought that because they all failed, they no longer were doing Soldier. But that guy, Roach, is, if you go off the swords, it seems like if you are Soldier Third Class, you get a gun. Soldier Second Class, you finally get a sword, and it's a very generic sword that Roach has. And then if you become Soldier First Class, you get to have your own custom new sword. And that signifies to me that Roach is Soldier Second Class. He is part of Soldier.
I think the thing that you're maybe misconstruing is that they didn't get rid of the program. They were getting rid of the first class soldiers, placing them, which is why Zack got upped so quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because
because
it's a very corporate move. It's like if your leaders don't do what you want them to, just replace them.
okay.
I mean, you can see it with a lot of companies now. Like a good example would be Wells Fargo, because in the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, they've had 3 different CEOs.
Yeah, they need somebody at the head. Like even Disney.
Yeah.
Their last CEO, the one that has pretty much propelled Disney to where they're at now, has stepped down, and now I don't even know who the CEO is, but there needs to be a face, I guess. And I get that makes sense, because I interpret it as, all right, Zack was the last Soldier First Class that we're ever going to promote, and he was also the last one in the program, and now from here on out we're just going to have infantry members, not soldier members. There's not going to be a soldier third, second, and first class like we've had.
You made me want to play Crisis Core again.
We just, right before Final Fantasy VII came out, me and my girlfriend went through Crisis Core again, and I can't tell you I can't tell me. I saw Catch Me on the wall, and I said, I can't tell you guys how much I love Crisis Core. Crisis Core is the reason I was excited and bought Final Fantasy VII Remake. We talked about it in the first episode. Nor Tim nor I have gotten hooked in the Final Fantasy VII, we got into it too late. The game does not age well, which is odd to say because it's turn-based. The gameplay is still solid. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. Like, visually it didn't age well, but visually it has a style that works still. It's still,
All kinds of creature crawlers
it can be
make themselves
HDified and made look pretty, but it doesn't look like Final Fantasy does now. Final Fantasy from 13 on has looked nothing but immaculate.
Oh hell, even from 10 on. 10 was the huge jump from 9.
Oh yeah,
Humongous jump.
yeah, like that was the first one on PS2, right? With Tidus.
Yep.
Like it actually gave them like that Kingdom Hearts which Roach reminds me of him. I don't like it. It's just an obnoxious laugh with a motorcycle doing crazy freaking stuff. However, like, what was I saying? I hate it. Triangle.
You can't cut it, but you can pull it off.
Yep. I keep hitting square because I'm trying to interact with it like a chess, and square is attack, as you can see.
Yep.
But yeah, so it just never grabbed me. But Crisis Core, I remember playing Crisis Core multiple times, not just to play it, but to like, all right, this time I'm going to level, like, get all the materia. This time I'm going to get all the summons. This time I'm going to just wreck stuff. Like, it was such a...
there was one run I wanted to do where I did all of the VR stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I remember that.
I never got through it, though. I wanted to so badly, but I ended up getting distracted, which is pretty much 95% of my story as a game. It's like, I wanted to do this, but distraction. Or platinum. I don't know.
Well, that's another reason why, like, I really want to see how that game... Like, that game, obviously, it's a PSP game. It's not going to look great. It can look better, but, like, there's a lot of empty environments. There's a lot of wide open environments. The gameplay is this, but more... It's weird. It's equal parts more streamlined and equal parts slower. Like,
yep.
It's, if you've never played Crisis Core, you just smash X. That's the only button that is attack, and you use R1 and L1 because that's all PSP had. To cycle through if you want fire, cure, anything like that. And as you're cycling through, you smash X, it does it, and then you have a magic gauge like you do here. And, you just attack. It was a weird hack and slash. It wasn't even turn-based. It was more strategic hack and slash.
Yeah. It works similarly to this, but this is way more complicated and way deeper.
Yeah.
I love it. It's equally accessible, which is odd enough, but like this combat is way more complicated. I love it.
Yeah, a friend of mine said that this is the combat they wish Kingdom Hearts had, and I agree and I disagree.
Yes. Oh god, think of fighting some of those harder fights with some of the mechanics you have, dude. Knowing what I know now with like countering and blocking, I would love to have features like that in some of those hard fights in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, 100%. The only thing that I've noticed that I only miss it in combat, but the only thing that I miss in this combat that is in Kingdom Hearts and in most games is jumping. I would love to be able to juggle. Juggling would be the thing that I would miss the most if this combat was Kingdom Hearts combat.
Well, a lot of those things are built in. If you want to be, what's her name? If you want to be Tifa, you can uppercut people and like bump the shit out of them in the air.
Yeah, and then switch to Cloud, and then Cloud will immediately cycle to the air.
I know what you're saying. Like, you can't juggle in the same sense, but you can in a different sense.
Yeah, it's you're required to use more of your party in this versus Kingdom Hearts, which Kingdom Hearts is like set Goofy to always block, set Donald to always heal, and then you're fine.
Just like that, okay?
At the same time, I wish something like that were implemented in this. I know I mentioned it in my review. One thing I was really longing for and now that I'm playing harder difficulties, I'm longing for it even more, would be like the Gambit system where you put in like a, if this, then this player does that. If this, then the character does that.
Yeah, like
And
if low in health, then then Tifa won't punch, but instead cure you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
we have to go
that was one of the reasons why Final Fantasy XII aged so well, because they didn't have to necessarily put in AI for your allies, because you built it in.
Yep.
And they designed a system that worked really well for that. And granted, now that I'm spending more time with my materia, there are things built into the materia that allow for that.
like auto heal. And...
So it's a lot more complicated to do things like that if you want to. I just wish that it were more accessible. But once you finally figure it out and start putting those things together, it feels really good. So like the reward for investment is very cool with this game. So I'm gonna give it that. But I still do wish there were a little bit more accessibility on the elite end of this. Because when you first walk in, it's super accessible. You can just, like if you want to just play easy, you can get through the game just playing square with the occasional menu or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want to play through normal or hard, you got to get your shit figured out.
I'm wondering, so with allowing a tidbit of spoilers to seep into this podcast or
Slap
or whatever, how many of the original party members do you like? Which party members aren't in this? I know Sid's not. I don't think Yuffie is. Vincent obviously isn't. You get him really late in the original game.
Oh, it's not really a spoiler, because this is something that's been public knowledge for a while. The last character you come across is Red 13.
Okay. So
yeah, you have obviously Cloud, Tifa, Barrett,
Red,
Aerith, and Red 13.
Okay, so
But Red 13 is not a party member.
You just meet him.
They've talked about that too. He's not a party member.
Is he not going to be a party member ever, or just in this one?
This game he's not. But in the original game, that period of time where you're working with him in the tower, he's also not a party member.
Right. He doesn't.
He works alongside you, so
you have to like. You progress further into it, and he's like, okay, I have to come with you, essentially, if you allow me. And then so there's Vincent, Yuffie, Sid. Am I missing anyone? Vincent, Yuffie, Sid. I think that's it, right? Outside of who we've already mentioned.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
The only reason I bring it up, the only reason I am talking about it essentially is it would be really cool to see. So we acquire 4 party members in this. We acquire Tifa, Barrett, Cloud, and Aerith. And then we meet Red 14. And then in 2, it'd be
Red
nice.
13.
Or Red 13. And then in 2, we get the ability to use Red from the beginning, let's say, because we already met him. And then we meet Sid and...
Kate Sith is another character.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Kate.
I forgot about Kate Sith.
The cat and Mogul.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, let's say, 4 more to meet in part 2. And then what if in part 3 it opens up, like, from feedback, and I'm assuming they haven't started working on 3 outside of concept art and ideas. They're working on part 2 at the moment. But part 3 allows you to cycle through party members, be who you want to be, run around who you want to run around as. Because now you have all of the party members. You are no longer tied. I need to go to the item menu the wrong way. You're no longer tied to meeting new people and like getting your group the way you want to.
Yes. I like the idea of that, because it gives the potential for each one of these games to be a little different from each other. and I think that's going to keep the whole concept, this whole run, very fresh from start.
I agree.
I'm already gushing.
Well, that's what this is.
I was excited, but I love it.
Like, that's the idea of what we're doing here on Re-Overview, or whatever we end up calling it. That's going to be the title, whatever we end up calling it. But it's
Re-Overview days.
Obviously, we're not.
I listened to that part again, and I kind of threw up.
Yeah, it's awful and great at the same time. But we're obviously not going to pick games that or at least we're not going to do a long-running return to games that we don't really love. So, like, we had the idea, we may play around with it a bit more, that we were going to do every game that we review. But if we review a game that's awful and we don't want to go back and play it, it may be fun entertainment to have, like, the other person. Like, as of right now, Tim reviewed the game, I am playing the game. So the footage you see is me playing. And I want to run through tables like this in real life.
Dude, this is one of my favorite things in this game, just running through random stuff. Like, I'll be running down a hallway or something, and I see something that's inanimate, but I can run through it. I change my trajectory.
And
I go
down.
I love it
Look at
so
that.
much. It's just oddly satisfying.
Yeah.
Cut it. Yes.
But,
I mean, it's not a Metal Gear Rising cut, but I'll take it.
But so I'm playing it. Tim's the reviewer, so he's the go-to the person we're talking to, and we may bring other PSU members in and out accordingly, stuff like that.
Hot.
And even games that we love. I love BioShock. Tim hasn't had the same love affair of BioShock that I have. Tim hasn't loved BioShock.
That's great.
He loves Infinite, but I prefer BioShock 1. So, like, we maybe do a BioShock episode. It may, essentially what I'm getting at is this series may evolve into more of a just fanfare of games that we love, or one of us loves that the other one hasn't really played. For instance, I still have yet to play Death Stranding. That's probably going to be a game that we do eventually. Metal Gear
Oh my
Solid
God,
1
super
through
true.
anything. Maybe a game
1 through all.
Yes, a game that we do.
Maybe not 5. Maybe 5. It was a fun. It's a fun game.
I was gonna say 5 is probably gonna be the easiest one. The thing that's holding us back on super old games is how, as of right now, Tim is watching me play through SharePlay. So it would be hard to do with older games. And side note, tangent. This is a show of tangents. It's a free flowing show. We can do what we want. It's ours.
Not sines, not cosines. Tangents. Bad math joke. You can take that with you.
Tangent signs. This fight is 100% a Spider Walker fight from Destiny. Kill the legs,
Dude,
so he
hashtag.
opens up his mouth. Like, the only difference
hashtag.
is the Spider Walker in Destiny, it's its neck, not its teeth.
Mark,
Yes?
don't forget about L1.
And so, I've tried that multiple times. I can't block in Punisher mode.
No, L1 is your command shortcut.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Raver. Rapier.
You keep forgetting about, like... Oh, you know how to change the stuff?
No, I do not, actually. I'm assuming it's
I
in the
will
main
show
menu.
you when... Yeah, press
like-
options.
But like right now, so this is blocking in Punisher mode. What I'm doing right now.
Yep.
And Tim has told me that you can counter with it. I have not been able to block a thing to counter in the first place. So I don't know how
The
to.
thing is that you don't block. It's more like a parry. And if it's a particular kind of you're not really gonna parry anything because it's still gonna hit you, but you'll be able to at least do the counter attack. So it works really well against people like Roche, for instance, who did all those charges and things. It works well against him because he has a singular attack, and that's the attack you need to parry. But if it's like if somebody does a dive bomb or throws a grenade at you or something, that's not a singular attack. So if you try to counter it, you'll still do the counter, but you'll take a ton of damage doing it.
Now, is it? Do I have to hit? Some ability. We're gonna do.
German. Yeah. Poop on him.
So, do I have to hit the block button at the time that I want to do it, or is it hold the block button and then hit circle or attack whenever I?
No, it's automatic. You hold R1 while in Punisher mode, and the moment you get hit with something, he counterattacks.
Oh, okay.
There's no trick to it, just R1. But if you get hit with something too big, you're not going to be able to counter or anything. So you really have... That's the depth of combat. Like, you have a lot of options, but you have to know what to use when. So, like, against guys like this, Punisher mode is only relevant when they're staggered, so you can do extra damage. But you can't block in this form, so it's better right now. It's better to be in this mode that you're in right now.
The fast moving mode.
Yeah. So you can still block. You can still roll. Actually, something to remember is that when you roll in Punisher mode, you get taken out of Punisher mode.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Which is kind of a nice little thing.
Boom. Stagger.
Yes.
All right.
Time to poop.
Now it's time to do a limit break on his face.
Drop a deuce on him. 1, 2, 3, Mississippi. Go on. Ha! One extra little hit.
Yeah. But going back to our idea of what we're going to be doing, it may expand. It will expand. It's going to have to expand. But we may do older games that we don't like games that we review that we don't like as well, just for entertainment purposes. However, games that we do love, like Final Fantasy VII, it's going to be a running series that we're going to do. We may not go all the way to the end. It may be like a 5-episode thing. It may be a 6-episode thing, 2-episode thing. It's all on us to change however we want to change it. Not on you.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is just to enjoy the content and give us ideas. Obviously, like if you don't want this format and if you don't want us to do this away, obviously let us know. Give us comments, give us feedback on Twitter or psu.com, the YouTube channel that it's up on, anything, and we'll definitely take that into account. It's a joke whenever I say that we don't care what you think, because we do. But we also have an idea of where we want to go with the show. So it may vary accordingly, and it may change up, and it may be more of a dumpster fire at times than others.
Woo!
But that's how we do it. Answer your phone. It's the president calling. Hi, you suck. I'm the president. You're fired. What?
What?
Everything is fine, sir.
Yep, just lie to him.
Yeah, everything's fine. We're fine. We're good.
I hate this guy so much.
I remember hating him in the original as well. That's another thing that it makes me feel like a non-intellectual saying this, but I can't not be honest. I have such a harder time connecting to characters, caring about story, and even wanting to continue with the story if I have no emotional voice acting. Like, it doesn't have to be, I don't mind subtitles, but the main issue I have with the original Final Fantasy, and I understand why it's there, is that none of the characters have voices. It's all just text on the screen. So the only conveyance of emotion is body language, and I don't know how I feel about it. And also, we lost Tim for a second. We're gonna get him back here, and but it does make me feel weak as an intellectual, saying that I need that in order to care about a story. And then we'll repeat this whenever we get him in. Welcome back. I let everyone know that it dropped you, so we're good.
Yay! There we go.
Yeah, dumpster fire, like I said. But a fun dumpster fire that everyone likes
The
to be a part of.
fieriest of dumpsters.
A garbage inferno, if you will. A friend of mine said that
Sounds
the other
fancy.
day, and I lost it because I really enjoyed it. But what I was saying is it makes me, and we'll get Tim's perspective on this as well, because Tim, being an intellectual, will probably have a different opinion, and if not, it just will verify me in my opinion. So, win-win.
Intellectual. I laugh at fart jokes and you.
True. Being an intellectual and being immature are different in my eyes, but I was saying...
Wow! Right under the bus for two. I liked it. I am immature.
What I was saying, though, is a thing that this game does that the other game, the original game, couldn't do, and I understand that it couldn't do, but it still doesn't make me reject it any less, I guess, is the fact it doesn't have to be actual voice acting in the sense of, like, I'm good with subtitles, I'm good with dubs, I'm good with anything that needs to happen for the show or game or whatever, but the original not having voices really deters me from caring about anything than that. Like, the only way to convey emotion in the original Final Fantasy, and a lot of the original Final Fantasies up until I think 9, I could be wrong, 8 might have had voice acting.
Nope.
So
9 didn't either.
So 10 was the PS2 one. Whenever it switched to DVD, it was body language. Like, you'll see like these little 8-bit Ghibli characters like shaking their fists up in the air, like slowly raising them, and like their caps lock was on with a bunch of exclamation points, and their text bubble would be all spiky and like comic booky exclamation or X.
After playing E comes
What am I trying to say? Like
G, and then H.
explanation, I guess. Not explanation. Like whenever you get an exclamation point, what is that called? Exclaiming something. Exclaiming is the word I was looking for. And that was the only like real emotion that you got. So Cloud, to me, the words that Cloud says and his body language are 100% I don't care about this, I don't want to do this, I don't need to go here, I don't care about you or what you're doing, and I'm not good enough for anything. And that's how it comes across in the original Final Fantasy, and I could not get behind it. Cloud here says the same things, has the same body language, but is nuanced more, and nuanced enough that I now have feeling that like it's an act. It's not exactly how he feels. It's how he thinks he should be, and he's lost people, so he doesn't want to get close to anybody. And all that literally just comes from a voice actor. It has nothing to do with the words that are written on a page or the way that your character moves around. Granted, it's more, you can see more facial features and more face contortions and stuff, so you get a little bit more nuance, but all that's just from the voice actor. Even in Advent Children, I hated Cloud. I hated his personality. I hated the way he said things. I hated all of it, and it wasn't his voice actor's fault. I loved his voice. I just didn't like, he was one dimension. And
So I think you've just found your way around to the point you want to say, because you didn't like Cloud when he was in the boxy, cubey, spiky form, and then you also didn't like him when he was in the pretty CG form.
I liked him more then, but I also carried my dislike from him from 7 into Advent Children. I love Cloud in Crisis Core, but that doesn't progress past the end. I hated what happened at the end of Crisis Core, and I blame Cloud. So...
Oh, very much so. That was some bullshit.
But
what I have to, okay, I think you've got, I think you've said what you need to say now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what the thing with Cloud is that he is an incredibly subtle character, not just in mannerisms, but in spoken word. And when you deal with something so minimalistic and your resources are minimized as well, you have to find a way to point at those very few things that enunciate his character. That's not something they offered in the first one. They didn't put that kind of strength of writing into his character because they couldn't. There's really no good way to do. I mean, they could have done some like animations or whatever, but it would have just looked like, you know, something like a hand moving or something.
Yeah,
Like
not even a
they
hand,
got away
a
with.
ball.
They did a good job with characters like Barrett and Tifa because Barrett's over the top and he swears a lot, so you get not just the bombastic motions of his gestures and things, but you also get his swearing and the way he says things because he's vocal and very outspoken. It's like he was easy to deliver in that format, which is why I've always liked Barrett. It's the quality of writing that goes with his character. Cloud is a trickier character to write because of his subtlety. And the advantage they have here is one, a really good voice actor, and two, the ability to convey subtleties. They didn't do that in Advent Children, which is why, like you, I didn't like it.
Okay.
But yeah, it comes down to that now. Like they gave him a believability that he didn't have before. He was just this kind of like, and I think it comes down also to at the time they were trying to make sure that main characters had some sort of projectability to the player. So they wanted him to be, you know, almost mute, unspoken, that kind of like your
Because they want
Golden
the player's
Sun.
voice. Yeah, like
Or Pokemon, you know, like like with, and I don't want to compare Pokemon and Final Fantasy here, but the example is that your Pokemon character doesn't say anything.
right.
It's just you interacting with other people talking at you. That is your projection of yourself. So they wanted, with a lot of RPGs, they do that where they have the character kind of either quiet or mute so that the player can project themselves onto this avatar. And with characters like him and Squall, for instance, Squall's a really good example because he's also very subtle. They try to minimize what they do while still displaying their individualized characters. So it doesn't always work. I don't think it worked with Cloud in the first game. In the original. I keep saying first game, in the original game. But I also think it comes down to the limitations that they had with their polygons and the type of art style they chose. Because even though Final Fantasy VIII has no voice acting, it has bigger, better character.
Oh, development?
No, like visual, like yeah, like polygon counts for characters and the ability to do certain animations. Like you still can't see facial expressions and things like that, but you can get more nuanced with like hand movements and like staggering and looking away, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you have more room to express those kind of subtle characteristics, but you don't really have such a nice way to do it. Like they could have done it. It would have looked. You'd have to been really paying attention, but they could have done it, and they didn't. And I don't. And I think that's why something like a project like this is almost more important than the source matter, because you have the original content, and you have a lot of people that are into it, but you also
like
have
Spark
this,
Notes
which is, yeah, it's like the original looks, yeah, it's a good comparison. Like the original kind of feels more like Spark Note, whereas this is like reading War and Peace.
Right.
But you get to cut things.
War and Slice.
And for the record, I love War and Peace. Love it. Read it twice.
I agree with that, and it's just like, I don't know, this game, even if it decides, it's no secret if you read Tim's review or hear us talking, that this game isn't a redoing of Final Fantasy VII. It is its own thing that exists in a universe that Final Fantasy VII also exists. They're not, obviously, like, you don't need to play Final Fantasy VII to understand what's happening in this game, but things are happening differently in this game. Things happen the same at times, completely different at times. So it's hard to say what has come, like, what has stayed the same through Crisis Core and Advent Children, as well as what is going to change. However, this game alone made me understand what Cloud went through more at the end of Crisis Core.
Yep.
Than what Cloud went through at the end of Crisis Core. So like, there's a scene about like right before this one with Jessie. They give her an incredible backstory.
Missed the chest.
Did I? Yes, I did. Thank you. There's an incredible backstory with Jessie, and something that goes on with her father, as well as her mother and everything like that. But they mentioned something that made me understand what Cloud, like, because I could never put into words what was happening to Cloud at the end of Crisis Core. I would say coma, but he was aware and he was like responsive, but he could barely walk. All of his emotion was gone. All of his memories were still there, it seemed like, and like his caring about people, but the caring was gone. And essentially what they say in this game is there's a theory that whenever you have Mako poisoning, your spirit is trapped between your body and the Earth's heart. And if you played Final Fantasy VII, or if you know anything about Final Fantasy VII, there is a thing that's called the life stream, and it is basically what Shinra is mining to create power. So the life stream, when something dies, it goes into the life stream. When something born, it comes out of the life stream. The whole premise of Final Fantasy VII is that the life stream is essentially heaven, but also hell, but also pre-life and also afterlife. It's everything. It's what the planet lives on.
Fracking, am I right?
Exactly. It's essentially if everyone was born from oil and got repurposed into oil, or better yet, magma. In our Earth
Magma
understanding of it. And essentially, Cloud for 5 years at the end of Crisis Core was trapped between the Earth's heart and his body, his soul. And it explains more, it like gives me a greater understanding and a greater appreciation for how strong he actually is. Because before, I would look at him and go, you don't deserve anything that's happening to you because like you didn't earn it, it's not yours, it's Zack's. But seeing him move and seeing him fight and seeing him do all this stuff, I'm like, oh shit, Cloud actually is skillful. He knows what's going on. He knows how to handle himself, especially whenever. That's the one thing I do like about the addition of Roach is Soldier second class. Cloud, if you played Crisis Core, you know, hasn't, I don't know about this one, but original Cloud didn't make it past Soldier for third class. So Roach is a higher rank than Cloud was at any moment in Crisis Core. Yet Cloud wins handedly over him. So it's cool to see Cloud having more of a presence while also not changing Cloud.
Yep.
Hey, look.
Big
I
time.
think we can climb onto that pipe.
And pretty soon our share play is going to end, and we are approaching an hour. I think a good place to stop is actually after these fans, because that's when you.
I'm a fan of that.
But in the meantime, as we are progressing over there, because the next time we do another episode, it's not going to be right after this. We're going to pick a new scene, a new non-provoking, good to watch but not spoilery-esque scene to go off of. Because we're not going to shy away from spoilers, but we're also not going to actively seek them out.
Yep.
But so in the meantime, Tim, why don't you tell these fine people where to find you, what you're on, and what you're doing, and who you are, and everything that we should have probably done in the beginning.
I'm pretty much on a lot of things.
The end. That was good.
Some
Thanks.
things I'd like to talk about. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. You can find me anywhere, really. Tim Borelli, my Twitter, my Instagram, my new legal name. Timberelli. The only place I'm not Timberelli, unfortunately, is PSN. That's
Which may
Boss
change
Snake. No, it won't.
Platinum's mean too
Not if
much.
my trophy count has anything to say about it.
And
What about you, Mark?
what is your PSN?
Made it
I think I
through
cut you
one
off before you finished saying it.
Boss Snake. One word, no caps, 3 S's.
Hell yeah. And for me, I am Lost Heroes on everything. Lost Heroes 13.
Or
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some
Section
places
H
it
is
probably
just up
matters,
ahead.
but it's spelled like the shows, which is where it originated. Capital L, capital O, capital S, capital T, then capital H, lowercase from here on out, EROES 13. And you can catch me streaming this game on my Twitch channel, which is Lost Heroes 13. But you can also find me at PSU.com. You can find me at PlayStation. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. All of them are Lost Heroes 13. If you are wanting to get a more complete story breakthrough, not in-depth talking about it, but you aren't going to play this game and you want to see us play through the game from beginning to end, the bits that aren't being shown off in this show will be streamed on my channel. And basically what's going to happen is I'm going to play the original, or my actual playthrough is going to be played on my normal account on my pro in the living room, researching and talking to Tim about what places are good places to do our show, and to get to those places you will see me streaming to get to those places.
I have a couple places in mind.
Which is, I'm going to be deferring to you a lot because I don't know what will be coming back as spoilers and what isn't going to be coming back as spoilers, hence me not completing the game yet. So, in the meantime, that's where, if you want to see the in-betweens, definitely follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. I usually tweet out whenever I go live. But also, if you're into PSU.com, or even if you're not, definitely become a fan of PSU.com on our YouTube, where this show is aired, which is probably where you are watching it right now, so you already know. However, if you see it anywhere else, definitely give us a follow on Twitter, give us a follow on YouTube, and it's just PSUDOTCOM, all one word, and that's where we will be for the foreseeable future.
Foreseeable.
And then we're probably going to get this published on other things eventually, tweeted out a bunch more. So if you, like I said, if you do find the show organically somewhere else, that's where you should show your support. Give some comments, give some feedback. If you have any questions that you want us to answer on the air, I say on the air like I stream this live, but I don't.
Off the air, around the air,
through the air. We'll
Under
definitely
the
be able
air.
to do our, as the show gets bigger, we'll have segments towards the end here. Instead of doing it like this, we'll answer questions or have comments or anything that you guys share with us anywhere. Twitter, Facebook, all of it. YouTube.
Carrier pigeon.
Ooh. Like in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
That one, especially that one.
Yeah, get some.
We have a letter from Ezio today.
What? It says Requiesca and Dempache, and I don't know. I'm kind of scared. Normally says that after I die, but
It's a warning.
it is a warning. But thank you guys for following us and giving us your view and your time. We will be back probably next week. Most likely next week. We still need to nail down an exact day to record and an exact day to post. But as of right now, it's a weekly show.
Hashtag.
And you're welcome. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll be back soon with some more Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Womp.
Womp.